Welcome to Figure Feedback. My name is Jeremy, and in this video I want to share with you my favorite failed print. I'm going to tell you why too. And it is this little guy right here. This is a 3D printed ukulele, and I printed this on my Creality Ender 3 Pro. But if you're interested in printing out your own ukulele, check the link in the description. I'll leave a link to printables where I found this. It is a pretty popular file over there. But I do want to say that the reason why I consider this a failure has nothing to do with the quality of the files or the creator who put all of this together. I am 100% sure that the failings of this ukulele has everything to do with my printer and how it's tuned. And I do want to go back in the future, most likely with a different, newer, modern, more faster 3D printer so that I can try this again, because this took me over 3 days to print. The body took the longest amount of time. It took about 36 hours at like 50 millimeters per second. It's made out of a couple of different materials. The body, the neck, the fingerboard, the tuning pegs, these were all printed with PLA, and then the blue bits that you see here for the bridge and the saddle and the screws right here, and then even this part right here where another tuning peg was supposed to go, those were printed with PETG as recommended by the creator because that material is stronger for the applications that it's going to be used for. So why do I consider this a failed print, but at the same time, why do I like it so much? Well, because this was a first for me. It was the longest 3D print that I have tried to do on a filament printer, and it was the first thing that I tried to print in multiple different colors. Specifically for this fretboard here, this was just all white PLA, but I paused the print and then I removed that filament and I put in some red filament, so when it was going across these frets here, it can give a little bit of red on top of those frets to give it more contrast. And I think that it just makes the ukulele look a lot more interesting in general. So that was a first for me, and it was also a first to have so many different parts that needed to be put together and trying to get everything to just fit perfectly and just assemble so that this ukulele could even stand a chance of being playable, so that you can even hold it. So those were all milestones for me, because usually I just print one thing and just kind of done with it. But this was the first thing that required multiple parts. So why is this a failure? Well, I'm pretty sure it's because my printer is not finely tuned enough in order to get mechanical parts to work together properly and to fit within each other properly. I can print things that look really good, but when it comes to something that's functional, it can be a bit challenging. So when I was trying to put everything together, I ran into some difficult parts, such as trying to connect the neck to the body. It looked easier than it actually turned out to be, and it was because some things weren't quite lining up the way that they should line up. And then when it comes to putting these tuning pegs in, I mean, they work, they turn the strings and tighten them, but it's not a very good fit because, listen, as I tighten it, you know, I'm pretty sure it's not supposed to sound like that. It's supposed to be smooth. And some of it is smooth in some areas, but it's not smooth in others. And the reason why I don't have any pegs inside of this hole where the A string is because it just kept breaking. Even with PTEG, so much friction, it would not smoothly turn this this peg so that the string will get tightened. I came close. It took quite a bit of force, but then the string kept slipping, and then the tuning peg ended up breaking off inside of it. And it was the second time that I tried to use a tuning peg inside here. The first one was with PLA, and it snapped off, and I literally had to take a power drill to drill the rest of it out so that I could try it again. But even if I was able to tune everything to pitch, which I did with the first 3 strings, it doesn't really matter because the action is way too high. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with ukuleles or stringed instruments, but basically these strings are not supposed to be so high off the fretboard. They're supposed to be close to it, not so close that they will vibrate along the frets when you play or when you try to play a note, but they're not supposed to be this high, because what happens when you are trying to play a string with some super high action, it makes the notes turn sharp when you try to play it. So, and then this one, it's pretty sharp. How is it supposed to sound? Well, here's one ukulele. So, you see how that sounds? But then on this one, the whole thing just gets sharp. You know, and you can kind of hear it, you know, it's out of pitch, it's out of tune. And, you know, I can't even play an F chord on here. You know, it's just, it's just not going to work. The action is way too high. And like I said, I'm pretty sure this is the fault of my printer and the fact that the strings are not sitting deeply enough inside of this, inside of the, nut right here. They're like sitting on top and they're not sitting in. They're supposed to be in. I don't know if the bridge is too high, and if you really wanted to, you can probably do a lot of tuning on this in order to make it proper. But that's why I think that this print is a failure technically. But I still really like this ukulele. I am not going to throw this thing away. I'm not going to throw it in the closet, put it into a pile of shame. This is something that I would actually put on my wall because it's a learning experience, you know? Trying something new and trying something intimidating for the first time, especially something that you know is going to take a long time and is going to use a fair amount of filament. The fear is I don't want to fail because I don't want to waste all that filament, and then that means that I'm wasting money. And that's what I was thinking when I was printing this out. But just seeing that, hey, we got through it. It's possible. The whole thing is built. The problem is the tuning of the printer. And if I can just get that down, or, you know, I'm wanting to upgrade my printer anyway. So if I get another one and try this again, I am so confident that it will turn out to be so much better. But there will only be one first attempt. And to be honest with you, I don't think it looks half bad. I think that this is a nice looking ukulele, 3D printed ukulele in my freaking living room. And I could have also made different colors on the body because there's like these hexagonal patterns on the body. So it could have been even more customizable. It would have stood out even more. But, you know, perhaps that's what I'll do for round two. So I think what I'm going to do is, well, first I'm going to take the strings off of this because the first three strings are Worth Brown strings, and those are pretty good strings. So I don't want to throw those out. And that's why I didn't clip the ends, because I just want to have as much length as possible. But yeah, this thing is going up on the wall, and I wanted to show it to you so that I can just let you know that if you encountered something like this, a multiple hour print, you're trying to put something together, but it just doesn't quite work out in the end. If any part of it is salvageable, if any part of it looks like, hey, well, it's aesthetically pleasing, but, you know, it could be a lot better, don't throw it out. Don't burn it, throw it on the pile. I think you should keep it. I think that you should keep it as a monument to learning, as a monument to progress, as a monument of how things were. And so you can compare it to how things will be in the future. And that's what this little guy stands for me. And then maybe in the future, I can print out another ukulele that will look just as good as this one, but sound as good as this one. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, take care of yourselves, and I'll talk to you soon.